Okay, can you hear me? Excellent. So welcome to the second week of Nuts and Bolts, and for those of you here in Cambridge, you realized we dodged a snowstorm that would have put us in trouble if it had happened a day or two later. So thank you for braving the weather to come out. The first part of tonight is presenting your venture with Bob Jones, who you saw back on the first day of the course. If you think back to the first day, and I did some introductory remarks, one of the things I talked to you about was the 3 whys. And the 3 whys are things that I distilled from looking at ventures and seeing other people looking at them over the years. The first why is, why this? Why is this thing I'm thinking about important? Why should I be doing it? The second is, why now? Why is this a good time to do it? Timing is an important factor. And the third was, why this team? And those are some useful things to think about, not only in general, but for those of you doing the written assignment, make sure you somehow work that in so that at the end I have the answers to that. But how it relates to tonight is those 3 questions are really questions that are the beginnings of getting to the sort of really basic question. And that question starts with the word what. The word what. And I'm going to turn it over to Bob. He may tell you a little bit about how that fits in. So welcome back, Bob, presenting your venture.
What an introduction. Thank you and good evening. I was looking at all the signs along Memorial Drive trying to park this evening, and all of them said tow zone during snow emergency. And I thought, well, fortunately I got here with sled dogs, so I'm not sure how they're going to tow away my dogs, but they're all out there behind my sled at the moment. So thank all you guys for, thank you guys for braving the weather and showing up this evening. I'm glad to see you. I think there's a fair number of people every year who, at the end of the first couple of sessions, agree with Jensen Huang that nobody in their right mind would do this. And we do them a favor by weaning them out early on. But I'm glad that you guys are hardy survivors. So, quick show of hands. Have any of you ever had responsibility for sales? You have, sort of. All right, because there's an important question, which is, in a course that only has 12 sections and in an institute of technology, why would we talk about presenting? Why would we choose to allocate that portion of time? And why is it actually important enough to justify a spot in this crowded agenda? And I would love to have one of you people who had something to do with sales give us an answer for that. And of course, it's all the way in the back. Have at it, Taylor. Thank you. Yes, we are being recorded this evening, and so if you have a great response, we will want it on a microphone. Zoe, we'll get an answer from you in a sec, I think. That'll be easier. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I believe that everyone is selling something, even though their title may not explicitly sell it, like account executives or investment bankers who sell companies. But entrepreneurs and politicians are selling themselves, and hence knowing how to present is about telling a great story and first and foremost, selling, proliferating your vision. So
what a great answer. We actually rehearsed that out in the hall about 10 minutes ago. As long as you're doing so well, though, tell us a little bit about what are they selling. You can hand the mic back to him if you don't mind, Taylor. You said everybody is selling something. Are they selling products? Are they selling job opportunities? What are they selling?
Sure. The investment bankers are selling companies, for example, or people sell their own policies. Consultants sell their own solutions. In the conversation, we sell ourselves. in a way, not to sound very materialistic, but it's something can be transactional, whether implicitly or explicitly, without even intention. So yeah, we
Geez,
also
he remembered all the lines that I gave him before we got here. Nice job. Did you want to contribute to that, Zoe?
I was going to say why I think it's so important here is if you have an amazing idea, nobody's going to join your team. Nobody's going to buy the idea unless you can sell it. You have to sell your idea to even get people to join your team. You have to sell your idea in order to get people to pay money for your company to become a customer. So selling is critical in a space like MIT, I think.
So you would argue that this is actually an essential skill.
I think it's essential because a lot of brilliant ideas never go anywhere because they can't get a team, they can't sell it, they can't get the VCs, a whole bunch of things all happen. So I think it's very, very important, especially at a place like this, because a lot of people don't know how to sell.
Okay.
I never did until I was thrust into it.
Is anybody born knowing how to sell? Is everyone equally good at it? How many of you have tried it and been roundly rejected? Welcome. All right, so that's why we're going to talk about it a bit this evening. It's a skill set. And we've heard several of your audience members say it is an essential skill set. And most of you have already agreed that not everybody is equally good at it. So we're going to try and cover some fundamentals here. And I will argue that I'm basically going to repeat what my friend in the balcony had to say, that I trained him to say while we were out in the hall. There are a number of occasions when you will need to be selling. When you're acquiring customers or when you're acquiring partners. Remember the who wins if you win thing we talked about last week? Or if you're hiring staff, you may find that there's somebody that's perfect for your company, but they already have a job. And in fact, that job's paying them more than you can afford to pay them. This is either a problem or a sales opportunity. There may be times once your business gets rolling when you have missed your sales projections and your staff is feeling blue. They may even be worried that you won't make payroll. Time to motivate them. And of course, eventually, you may end up needing to raise capital. And eventually, if you're in that 10% that Joe says succeeds, you may need to do some selling when it comes time to talk about liquidating your business. So there's some popular myths about pitching, and we bump into many an entrepreneur, particularly technical founders, who say, well, I know my idea is amazing, and I just need somebody, I don't know, maybe Bob, to show me the right formula for my pitch, and if I then use that formula with my amazing idea, investors will just absolutely shower me with money. Or as a follow-on, that there is a magic formula for success. And there's pitch clinics that pop up all over the place. And what they, of course, tell you is if you follow our magic formula, once again, investors will shower you with money. I have never seen that be true. Closer to the truth is you are going to have to know something about selling. And many of you, as founders, will have a number of strong tendencies in these situations, which you will have to beat into submission. It's difficult. Most founders don't take that second bullet seriously and fail. Here's a few more facts. Please don't burst into tears. The smartest people aren't always the ones who are most successful. Because there's some other criteria. You need to know how to motivate others. You need to have some customers, pick up some partners, raise capital, hire people who really want to see you succeed. There's a number of requirements besides just being a genius. Okay, quick and dirty, we covered this last week, but I've started 4 companies. A couple succeeded, a couple failed. Took over CEO of a publicly traded company, turned it around, had a few normal jobs, worked with a bunch of companies through venture mentoring service. How many of you guys know about venture mentoring service? Okay. Quick commercial. VMS exists to provide free advice to founders of companies if someone on the executive team has any affiliation with MIT. They don't want any equity, they don't want any money. It's purely staffed by volunteers. It's awesome. Went to a couple schools, wrote a book, after hours, do a lot of guitar playing, and have been known to volunteer in homeless shelters. Tonight's agenda. We're going to have a few of you brave volunteers come up and give us a bit of a pitch. We're going to distill what we learned from that, try and come up with some basics of presenting and selling, and then have another go at it just to see if anybody got better. You'll have an opportunity for questions. We'll have a summary and conclusions. So, normally at this point I ask for volunteers, but our TAs apparently got busy in advance and found some sign-ups. People who actually volunteered. So I have a list of 7 people. The first criterion, of course, is that you're actually here tonight. So what we're going to want is for you to take a minute and tell us a little bit about your business before you jump into pitching. Are you in a healthcare startup? Are you working in artificial intelligence, clean energy? What's your business? And then give us a 3-minute presentation. But I would prefer that at least the first couple are not about raising capital. I would like the first pitch or two to be as if we, the audience, are prospective customers. So tell us a bit about your venture and why we ought to buy. You're volunteering? Yes. Are you on my list? Yes. Okay. Let me tell the audience their responsibilities first. All right? You don't owe these people love, but you owe them respect and professional courtesy. So kindly listen carefully. I will ask you for your thoughts afterwards. And don't be too hard because you might have your young buns up here presenting subsequently. So behave yourself. And then apply what you've learned to your own situation. Okay?
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Hey everyone. So I will just get started. First, I will introduce myself. I'm Jianming. I'm kind of last year PhD student here, and then I'm close to graduation. So come to the main topic. As we all know, artificial intelligence is driving an industry revolution.
Hang on. This sounds like it's been rehearsed. So before you do that, tell us a little bit about what kind of company you have. Or is that what you were about to do? My bad. All right, take it away.
Yeah, it is the privacy acceleration company to bring the privacy and democratize privacy to every single humanities. So without further slowing down, artificial intelligence drives a new industry revolution. And we all know the entire every aspect of humanity has been changing to digital tokens right now. However, this transformation has hit a wall, privacy. Because nowadays, most company and industry are terrified of leakage. For example, Samsung has banned ChatGPT among themselves after the code leakage, and Grok has exposed their conversations into the Google public search. The message here is clear. You cannot trust and use AI if you cannot boot your secrets into them securely. And to solve this, industry has turned into encrypted competition. They sorted using homomorphic encryption, a holy grail of the cryptography that enables you to compute while data still encrypted. And this secures your privacy, but it is significantly slow. What takes a second now takes a day. And to make it more usable and practical, industry has building a new chip. This throws millions of dollars into a couple people to build them from scratch. And this takes years of time. And that's why you didn't see out of this privacy-presuming AI computing today available. And therefore, at Cross, we make a paradigm changing. Instead of using and building new chips, we're using existing hardware to accelerate this encrypted competition.
Okay, let me stop you for a second. As our friend on the balcony said, everybody's selling something. So who are we? Who are we in the audience? Are you presenting to us because you are looking to fill an empty position in your company and you need, for example, a chief marketing officer? Or are you going to pitch to us as if we were prospective customers and you have a product that you want us to buy?
The last one.
The latter. Okay. Just a quick tip, and I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit. These microphones don't really work if you hold them out here. I'll go into more detail, but when you speak, bring it up close. Okay? You've got about 2 minutes. Tell us why we ought to buy whatever it is you're selling.
Yes. So building new hardware from scratch will take years and millions of dollars. That's why you didn't see any of the available product nowadays. So at Cross, what we want to do is instead of building this new chip, we just want to use existing hardware to accelerate this encrypted computation. So we trace the first principal question. Why is it slow? It turns out to be 2 factors. You need significant compute and significant amount of memory. And second question is there any hardware that's able to solve this? And the answer is very obvious. This massive data center built for AI. You get trillions of chips sitting everywhere in the world that consists of all these compute powers. So the question is, could we actually use them for encrypted competition? The answer is no, because they speak different languages. More deeply, the encrypted computation are mathematically different from the AI's computation. And therefore, that's the place that we can make some difference. And at Cross, we build a compiler that turns and converts encrypted computation into native language spoken by the AI chips. And by doing so, we're turning this massive data center built for AI into the state-of-the-art throughput machine for encrypted computation. And more importantly, this is not just theory. It is already deployed in Google Cloud. So it saves you millions of dollars into no hardware fabrications, and it saves you years of development time into immediately available. And also, this Cross has won few awards. It wins the 2nd place university demo at Design Automation Conference last year. It wins GT Next Award, Startup Creative Access Launch, and also it won the SRC DARPA Spotlight last year.
Okay, let's stop. Give him a hand, please. Okay, stand by. Who can tell us what it is he's selling? See, this should be a clue for you because not a single hand is up. So at the risk of asking a really silly follow-on question, who can tell us why we ought to buy whatever it is we don't understand that he's selling? Sort of. Were you going to offer an opinion? Thank you. Go ahead.
First, thank you. And
Yep.
thanks for going first. I feel you did a great job. I think one of the things that stood out, it seems as if you're helping to solve, your solution is solving a privacy issue as well as untapped capacity in data warehouses through building hardware. But it was a little bit unclear in terms of what the actual solution was. But those were the 2 items that stood out.
Not bad. Okay, so if we were to offer this gentleman some advice, I mean, let's take a quick, I sort of informally counted noses, and I think there's about 60 of you guys in the room. And one of you sort of grasped what it was he was selling and is not sure why he should buy it. So if we want this man to improve his odds, what advice can we give him regarding the presentation he just gave us?
First, thanks for going first. That takes a lot. Once you said that you built a compiler, I'm like, oh. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, you're building a compiler. So that framed my listening. I think if maybe you said that earlier and I just missed it. But if you hone in, like, I've built a compiler and here's how it's going to solve it and here's why, then that would pique my interest. Because I was trying to figure out, okay, privacy, this, what's your piece of it? So if that became really clear, then it's like, oh, okay, hardware, compiler, got it. I don't know, that makes sense. Is that helpful? Okay.
Okay. hold that thought. We're going to collect a few more bits of feedback from a couple of other presenters. We may offer you a second chance in a little bit. But big round of applause for the one who went first. Well done. Okay, somebody else. All right, up in the balcony or nearby, the cheap seats. Go ahead.
He doesn't. My question about pitching is it really depends upon who you're pitching to. So you said, assuming we are a customer. So would it make sense for them to ask us a question to say what kind of customer we are and what our background knowledge is? Because whenever I pitch, I would want to know that so I can tailor it. So that's kind of my question is how much do you ask before you pitch?
You hacked into my computer last night and read my slides, didn't you? Yes. I do. I need a privacy screen. I may be your first customer. Yes, you would think that. So who are you?
Hi, I'm Taylor.
Taylor?
So I got my undergrad in aerospace engineering, and now I'm here studying nuclear engineering for my master's degree. And I'm here today pitching as if you were a VC, trying to raise capital, essentially, is what I was thinking.
Okay, so you're going to walk right into the lion's den here. So our profile, if I've heard you correctly, is we are a room full of investors. And we're going to assess what he has to say and figure out whether or not we ought to take some of the money out of the resources that we have and invest them in his business. Yes?
And you should.
And we should. So first tell us just a little bit about actually maybe not. Maybe just jump right in. Let's
Just
see
jump
how
right
we
into
do
it?
with this. And you're Taylor.
I'm Taylor.
All right, take it away, Taylor.
Right. So oftentimes in a gold rush, it is not the people who are prospecting for gold that strike it rich, but the people who are making the pickaxes. Today, we live in the information age, and the gold of today is information. AI, communications, the internet, they all depend on information. And a lot of that information is transmitted through satellites. The satellite industry is a $10 billion industry, and it is projected to grow extremely much in the next decade. In the past 20 years, the number of satellites in space has grown by a factor of 10, thanks to launch costs is also reducing by a factor of 10, and this is projected to increase significantly. But central to all of these satellites is one problem, and that is that all of these satellites have to dissipate heat into the vacuum of space. And as it turns out, if we keep on putting more satellites into space, and we require more and more power from these satellites, the needs to dissipate heat from these satellites grows. And those systems, those thermal management systems, those cooling systems can be heavy and costly. My company's lightweight, proprietary thermal management solution can help reduce this weight and reduce this cost, therefore bringing more revenue to the satellite constellations that are being proposed to go into orbit today. Serving extremely capital-intense companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, other satellite constellation providers who demand high reliability and low cost at scale. My team of aerospace engineers could help provide additional revenue and reliability to meet these customers. Thanks.
All right, your comments, your feedback? Zoe, you've offered a couple things already. Thank you. I'll call on you in a moment, but let me hear from a few other folks.
Thank you very much. This is a good pitch. You went directly into what is the market, what is the application, what is the value of what you're offering. So this is great. Perhaps what I would add, if you were to make the pitch again, is adding the total addressable market. So these solutions you're offering, how big is this market? And why your solution is better than whatever is out there? I mean, you're saying it's better, but you can make a comparison. Is it cheaper? Is it more scalable, more reliable? But
Don't
I
answer.
think
I mean,
this
he's
is good.
giving
Thank you.
feedback on things that could have been included. All right, thank you. Anyone else? All
I
right.
can take it, I promise.
Okay, I don't know the first thing about your business, all right, but may I take a crack at giving your presentation for you, or your pitch for you?
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Taylor. I am an aerospace engineer. I work in the satellite industry, and as you know, there is a rapidly increasing demand for more and more satellites going into space because they process the exploding demand for information that we have. But there's a problem for the people who want to put the satellites in space, which is that the energy management is expensive and it's heavy. And as a result, it's a real bottleneck on their ability to meet the growing demand. We help them with that problem because we have the best, lightest, cheapest, and fastest energy management system available. Would you like to hear more?
Nice.
Okay, there is a methodology here, which is what we're about to cover. But for now, give Taylor a hand, please. It's been my dubious privilege on more than one occasion to hear 10 pitches in a row. And I'm telling you, your brain starts to dissolve because everybody has a world-class team. Everyone has a disruptive technology. Everyone has passion and vision. And after a while you think, how are you going to make money? Who's going to pay you for this? I should have included that, Taylor. I should have said, we've already had preliminary conversations with companies, and we have 5 letters of intent saying that if we make this product, they will buy it. I left that out. I should have included it. So let's dig in a little bit. Most people who are deep in technology never actually learn anything about how to sell. And the reaction is, eek. And once upon a time, selling was thought of as basically manipulative. Go out there and sell our aluminum siding, even though it's not a darn bit different from anybody else's, and in fact might be worse. Beat them into submission and make them buy it. And there were a lot of techniques taught to people as to how to do this, and as a result, many people in the business of sales were regarded as sleazy, and for good reason. That's changed. It's no longer that way. Sales these days, if you're going to be successful, hinges on understanding the customer's problem. And when I redid Taylor's pitch, you'll note that one of the things I built in, and I just piggybacked it because he did include it, I just moved it up front in the talk, is there's a problem. There are people who want to solve the problem. You might think you are selling a product, you might think you're selling a service, but if you intend to get paid, it will come from solving someone's problem. Step 1, therefore, is understanding that problem, and if you can solve it using your solution, do so. So tell me, why do most founders get this all wrong? Yes, sir. Oh, hang on. Taylor to the rescue. Thanks, Taylor.
Because everyone is, I mean, it's typical for PhDs as well, but everyone is so involved in their ideas and the things that they work on, they lose the focus of focusing on the audience or the customers, their problems, their use cases, and then focus on their products, features, technology, which breaks the link between.
Well, that's exactly right. You're working your tail off frequently to do something that hasn't been done before. And it's hard. And when you crack that code, you are understandably very proud. And what you have is your baby. And you don't want to hear that your baby's ugly. Right? And you don't want to be comparing your baby to other people. And the analogy that occurs to me is headlights down versus headlights up. Your headlights are down, utterly focused on what it takes to get this thing working, scalable, get it to market on time, and you don't have headlights up to say, well, who cares? And that's not a rhetorical question, who cares? It's literally, specifically, who cares? Taylor's invention would be utterly worthless to someone in the garment industry. So who cares? Well, SpaceX cares, right? But he's got to have headlights up in order to actually not fall into this problem. So I think it's a skill set. I think it's like learning how to swim. Nobody's born knowing how to do it, and frankly, it can be terrifying. And all you people who raised hands over rejection, nobody enjoys that, right? But it's learnable, right? Not everyone is going to be Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky or any other world-class swimmer, but you can all learn to swim. And the first step, brace yourself, is empathy. Stop pitching. As entrepreneurs, we are told over and over again, ABC, always be closing. With respect, I don't agree with that. I think stop it. Talk less, listen more for a long time. And say, I get it. I've seen this problem cause train wrecks in other companies. I'm sure it's bothering you. Make sure you understand the customer's problem first. So you could have led with an example of what happened when Target got hacked and a bazillion bits of confidential information went out into the market and the damage that it did, and how many other retailers are thinking, oh my God, we've got a loyalty program too. What are we going to do? So listen for a long time. And then if I can help you, I will. If I think we're not the best solution, I will try to point you towards someone who can solve your problem. Does this make sense? It's a complete reversal of what most people think of with sales. But the people who do this succeed far more often than 1 out of 75. 2 questions you should answer before you start pitching. Zoe, this is why I accused you of hacking into my computer. Who are they? Who are you talking to? And what do they want? I talked to somebody after my session last week on Tuesday who was explaining to me that she had something that she thought would require the participation of university professors. And she found, to her surprise, that when she offered them money to participate, they said, no. And you will recall when I told my story about working with the diabetes educators, and I asked them, what's your greatest professional frustration? They said, I tell my patients what to do and they don't do it. They don't comply. So I feel frustrated because I am a healer and my patients won't let me heal them. Right? So who are they and what do they want? And the best way to answer those 2 questions is ask them. Customer interviews, if you're just beginning, or if it's face-to-face. So, well, tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now. What's going well? Where are you having problems? What things cause you to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and look at the ceiling for an hour or so? Right? Ask them. There are some fundamentals that you really must know, and we're going to cover that a little bit in the next few minutes. But are you talking to the right? This is just a laundry list, okay? Are you talking to the right person? Do you know what they care about? What's the role of trust, and how do you build it? How do you actually ask for the order? And what's the role of follow-up? All of these things are tools in your toolbox, but they take a back seat to understanding the customer's problem. Qualifying. If you're selling, in most situations, particularly if you're calling on corporations, you'll find there's way more people who can tell you no than there are who can tell you yes. So question 2 up here is kind of a no, right? But it's often difficult to figure out, well, who can tell me yes? And a useful question I have found, not to say who's the decision maker, because even the people who can only say no will say, well, of course, it's, all of us participate and it's kind of a consensus. A better question is, suppose this turns out to be a disastrous decision. Suppose it's just an absolute train wreck. Who's going to get called in to explain it? That's who owns the decision, right? Because otherwise, the lower level people don't want to fess up that they actually don't have any buying authority. So they're going to smoke you. Right? That acronym up there, WIFM, stands for what's in it for me. This is what Joe was alluding to when he said there was one more what. The answer is what's in it for me. Your prospective customers, both yours and the investors, are usually too sophisticated to ask you this directly. What's in it for me? But they're thinking about it. Everybody's thinking about it in these situations. So addressing it might require some finesse. We will see some examples of this. Some years ago, I ended up in a deal with a very large consumer packaged goods company. They were about $80 billion in annual revenues. They made an investment in my company, which was comical because at the time you could get my entire company in my car. But I spent a lot of time with them, and they pretty much trained me in this orthodoxy here. Explain the benefits first. Follow it by a reason to believe. And with respect, Zoe and Denny, explain the benefits in their terms, not your terms. So saying our processor works 40% faster is probably meaningful to you. Saying to your prospective customer, your staff can go home at 5 o'clock instead of 9 p.m. is more likely to be in their terms, all right? So you know what a compiler is. I don't. So if he's got a better compiler, meaningless to me, right? Put the benefits in their terms. And if they don't want the benefits, then there's no point in elaborating on how fabulous your solution is. So I have a really great lawnmower. Bob, I live on the 15th floor of a high-rise. I don't have any grass. Stop, right? So, are you worried about privacy? Does your company ever spend any time thinking, what would happen if we got hacked? Would a better privacy solution make a difference for you? If the answer is no, well, then you have two choices. One is to become an evangelist and spend the next 6 months explaining to them why they should worry about it. You don't have the time for that. The other is to say, well, thank you. I'll call on you again in 6 months and move to the next one. Okay? If they don't want the benefits, stop right there. Okay, why are many buyers, and this includes venture capitalists, suspicious of really technical explanations, particularly if you're from an institute like this one? Why are they suspicious? Hand in the back. Taylor, would you do the honors, please? You might think that, well, my God, here I am with my dual degrees from an esteemed world-class institution. I ought to be able to just walk right in and walk back out with a wheelbarrow full of money. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when something is explained in overly complex way, people think that we are trying to scam them. But So that kind of erodes the trust. But on the other hand, I kind of notice an interesting tendency that contradicts that, that in the West Coast, the investors love hearing overly technical explanations in a way that confuse them. So they kind of have the opportunity to evangelize the founder to build something smart. At least that's an empirical observation might deviate from more common ones.
Well, forgive me, forgive a couple of us for laughing. I think that's pretty much spot on. Is there anything else that goes into that explanation? Down front, Taylor? Yeah, probably better you than me.
I think part of it you alluded to earlier. We can get really tied up into the details and forget about solving a customer's problem. And our product is to solve a solution, not the benefits and the features of the product. I think that's where we can get in trouble.
Well, that is the heart of the matter. So I got drafted a couple of years ago. A friend of mine is in the biotools innovation space and asked me to spend a day being one of the judges of, I don't know, probably 30 companies that were presenting. And I couldn't spell DNA. So you could make a pretty good argument I had no business being at the table. Particularly since the other people at the table, the presenter would sit down at a table and there were half a dozen of us. And they all knew the industry. And they'd say, well, Danaher's been doing that for 2 or 3 years. This isn't novel. I was the only one at the table who'd say, how are you going to make money? Who's going to pay you for this? Who will you call on within the customer complex? And what problem will you solve? And the reason that many of us are suspicious is that an awful lot of prospective customers, and for that matter, investors, don't know the technology as well as you do. And I like talking to people who make me feel smart, not people who make me feel stupid. And when you sit there and rattle on about your nucleotides and et cetera, well, I sit there and feel stupid. But if you say, here's a problem, we've identified a group of people who have that problem, and here's where the current solutions are inadequate. We've solved that problem. We've talked to our customers, and we figured out how we're going to build a great enterprise and make the world a better place. Now we're talking, okay? The other aspect of this is that if you are so head down on your technology that you can't connect the dots like I just did, I worry that you're not the right person to lead the venture. So I will end up thinking, I think this technology is going to succeed. I think your business is going to fail because you're the wrong person to lead it. Next. Sorry to be harsh, but be really aware of this. When people talk to you in these situations, it's a double-edged sword. They know you're really smart, and that helps. They're worried that you're going to make them feel stupid and that you're not going to be able to spell customer. So this brings us to trust. The bigger the decision, the more the buyer says, I don't actually think I understand all of this technology, but I believe this person. And I believe that even if their solution only halfway works, if I come to them and say, what about the other half? They'll fix it. So I will make the decision largely based on trust. So this is a whole unit we could spend time on. But quick and dirty, if you say you're going to do something and then do it, that goes a long way. So I don't know the answer, but I'll have it for you by Thursday morning. Deliver it. Or Yes, there are 5 people out there who want this. I don't have their letters of intent with me, but I'll send them to you before the close of business tomorrow. Do it, okay? So there's lots of potential audiences for your pitch. Customers, potential employees, current employees, channel partners, family members who say, why on earth are you working with a startup when you could easily have pulled in a 6-figure job working for Amazon? Have you lost your mind? And of course, eventually, investors. So do they all have the same priorities? I don't think so. Are you going to need more than one pitch? Yes. But in every case, they're wondering, what's in it for me? So think about your target audience, your investors, your prospective customers, and ask yourself, why should they do this? What's in it for them? Ditto if you want to hire somebody. And I'm hopeful that we'll get an interview down here in a few minutes of someone who's pitching as if to hire a prospective prospective employee, team member, and of course, investors. This is a tool in the toolbox, and it's not on the same order of magnitude or importance as the bit about empathy and understanding your customer's problems. But I have been in situations, well, back up. I had a stretch in my checkered past where I was VP of sales and had a bunch of sales reps reporting to me. And I would leave the office and fly to Baltimore or wherever they were and spend a day riding around in the car with them, calling on customers. And after one of them, for example, we walked out and I said, Joe, what was your last question we were in the healthcare business, for the doctor you were calling on? And he said, my last question was, so do you agree that this is a superior product? And the doc said, yes. I said, good. Did you ask him if he will prescribe it for his patients? Oh, no. Well, then you're not done, big fella. Right? So just getting people to say, you know, you're really smart and this technology is really exciting, you're not done. Thank you. When can we start? Or how many would you like for your first order? Right? You have to ask for the order. So classic sequence is, so we've been chatting about this for a while. I think I understand the problem as you've articulated it. I do understand the consequences. We've talked a bit about our solution. I'm pretty excited about it. I feel pretty good that it's a good answer. How do you feel about this? You guys remember what I said a week ago about closed-ended questions versus open-ended questions? Right? If I had said, do you like it? Probably the wrong approach. How do you feel about this? They say, well, I'm a little worried that you won't be able to get it to us on time. Ooh, that's not a bad answer. Right? Well, that makes sense. So if we addressed those concerns, if I were able to assure you we could get prompt delivery, how would you feel then? In sales parlance, this is a trial close. Well, I'd feel pretty good about it. Well, then how about if you give me a couple of days and let me confirm that our supply chain is up to par and that we can get you, 10? By when do you need it? 30 days? How about if I do that? Give me a couple days. And come back in a couple of days and say, I did what you asked me to do. When can we start? Now you're asking for the order. Selling these days is very rarely one and done. All right? There's follow-up, you're building a relationship, you're building trust, and if you think you can just give a pitch and you're finished, you're probably wrong. Okay, let's talk a little bit about presenting and then get a few more of you guys down here. In the source materials that Joe compiled, that compiler I know about for this course, this video is on there. It's cute, it's worth it. Understand your audience. Ask yourself, well, which do they care about more, you or themselves? By the way, if you get this wrong, I fear for you. So should your goal be to persuade them that you're really smart, that your technology is really awesome, that your vision is really compelling? Maybe, but only if it supports the benefits. That's important enough, I'm going to highlight it. Come forward with the benefits. We solve a problem for you. Because their first priority is not to assess whether or not you're smart. We know that. It's not to assess whether or not your technology is awesome. I'm not qualified to make that assessment. What I want to know is it going to help me? Right? This is blunt, but it's the truth. So, you should be believable. Conviction, enthusiasm, passion is fine. If it gets to the point where you fall on the floor and foam at the mouth, you've gone too far. Right? You want to provide supporting evidence, and everybody's busy. So, be concise, don't rattle on forever. And the requirements for brevity, be clear, be brief, shut up. I have a fair number of clients that I've worked with where I have said, you know, you guys do a great job describing what you do if I give you 30 minutes. If I give you 30 seconds, it's an absolute disaster. We're going to work on that a little bit tonight. If you can boil it down to 30 seconds, you're getting there. It means you understand it, you understand why it's valuable to them, and you can present it in a way that they will remember it, which helps them feel smart. So, should you tell them everything? Well, what do you want them to remember? Here's an interesting exercise. You're pulling together your PowerPoint slides and all that. Turn your computer off and ask yourself, what do you want them to remember when it's over? So if somebody walks in and says, gee, you went to that meeting where Zoe was presenting, right? Yeah. What'd she say? Well, most people can't remember more than about 3 things. So ask yourself, what do you want them to say about your talk when it's over? This is a challenge, but it requires that you do a lot of distilling. What do you want them to say when they describe your pitch to someone else? A year ago, when we had a second group of people come up and talk, there was a woman who sat right there, actually, and she said, well, Agatha collects dolls. She has a full collection of dolls, lots of them, worth a lot of money, and they are cherished memoirs that she intended to leave for her daughters and her granddaughters. And then there was a house fire, and she lost every one of them. Well, she had everybody in the room. Turned out she was selling insurance. Right? But we knew exactly what we were going to say when she got done. And I remembered a year later. Right? Ask yourself, what do you want them to say when they describe your pitch to somebody else? 3 points, about all most people can remember, which means you could talk for 30 minutes, be ruthless. Edit it down to 30 seconds. 3 points. that you want them to say when you leave the room. So, I'm an investor. I report to an investment panel. They say, you heard 5 pitches today. Yep. Were any of them any good? Yeah, one of them was really good. I think we ought to take them seriously. Well, what did they say? Your big chance, right? Okay, what's required to get it right? Well, understanding what's broke that you fix. What's the problem that you solve? What's the unmet need? What's causing them pain? And what are the consequences? How bad is it? It's kind of trivial, really. Well, then they're spending money on a solution already, and you've got a lot of work to do to show that yours is better. Or no, it's a key bottleneck to their ability to grow their business. They can't put satellites into space. Huge demand for their satellites. This is holding up the works. So who's feeling that pain? And why will they think your solution is better? That question is deliberately fourth on the list. Because if you rattle on about your technological superiority and don't answer the questions that precede it, you've wasted a lot of time. So, good structure, ruthless editing. A few words about style. Slow down. Public speaking is different from having a conversation. You need to speak more slowly than usual and enunciate more clearly, because your audience needs a chance to process the important stuff that you're saying. If you have 4 minutes to pitch and you have 6 minutes worth of content, well, don't think that just all you have to do is just talk really fast, because that way you'll get it all done, because it's just so important you can't leave any of it out. What'll happen is nobody will understand a bit of it. And deploy passion wisely. Tell a story. Agatha collected dolls rather than just dump the facts. Okay, I'm going to shut this off to illustrate a point. A few years ago, I had licensed some technology from Harvard Medical School, and I got invited by some Massachusetts organization that something to do with technology licensing to come pitch. I was told that there would be an audience full of investors, and there were 25 companies that were there to pitch. But okay. Turns out I won. And I thought, well, of course I won. I'm brilliant. My idea is brilliant. I'm charming. I'm modest. That was false. I was the only one that the judges understood, because we spend hours thinking about what our talks ought to look like and spend zero time on what we think they ought to sound like. And part of how you differentiate yourself is how you use one of these. So, not all microphones are created equal. Some are omnidirectional. They pick up sound from everywhere. That's almost certainly not what you're going to end up using. You're going to end up using a unidirectional mic, which was built for people who are on stage. So it's got a pickup pattern that's close, right? So if I'm up in front of a band singing, it's not picking up the cymbals, it's not picking up the horn section, it's just picking up my vocal, right? And there's a way to use these things. The pickup pattern is right down the barrel of the microphone, optimal distance, 2 to 4 inches. And if you see A$AP Rocky doing this, it's like guitar players who pose. It's not really the best thing to do, right? So I have been in umpty-9 meetings, including this pitch contest I was at, where people thought this was like some sort of Harry Potter magic wand. It isn't. And so they would start, and you'd kind of get this Doppler effect going as it kind of go by, or they would be doing a great job until they'd say, well, it's, or they would stand here like this. And what would happen is the microphone would be picking up whatever Zoe was talking about. Hello. Right? So, I don't need to elaborate on this much, but when you get called on to speak, use the mic correctly. It will make a huge difference. You will differentiate yourself from most of the competition who does not know how to do this. So speak slowly, enunciate clearly, and use the mic correctly. You're welcome. The day you present at the Academy Awards, you'll be using an omnidirectional mic. They're always there. Yeah, they're always like this. These guys have a lock on the market. The band I'm in uses non-wireless versions of this very mic. It's a Shure SM58. And they have pickup patterns that you can count on. They're very sturdy. You can probably drop it off the back of a truck on the New Jersey Turnpike and it'll still work. Right? So they have a lock on the market. You're almost certainly going to end up using one of these. And other than in this class, I have never seen anybody teach an audience how to actually use it. And so I ended up winning this silly thing when I probably did not have the best venture. But the judges could understand me. You have one more question.
Does it matter if you hold it like this or straight? Does it actually matter?
It does. If you hold it like this, it's suboptimal. You want it down the barrel of the mic. You want your voice going down the barrel of the mic. Taylor, you were like this. Denny, you were like this. This is better. Okay, there's an 8-letter word everybody hates. My musician friends and everybody else. Practice. Before you give a talk, you won't have a chance to do that tonight, but generally before you give a talk, practice it. Because if somebody makes it look easy, I can pretty well promise you they've worked hard to make it look easy. I have had times when I had to prepare a talk that was going to be crucial to my ability to raise capital, for example, and I would go into an empty conference room and I would give the talk with a timer on the table. And if I knew I had 4 minutes, I would stop at the 4-minute point and think, oh my good Lord, I've left out about 50% of the important stuff. I got to redo the talk. Once or twice I even went so far as to tear pages out of magazines that had people's faces on them. Put them on the chairs just to get in practice looking at different places. I mean, it's kind of psychotic. But I've done a lot of presenting practice. You're retraining yourself. Most of us have been in the business of thinking, I'm here to get to the right answer. And if it's a third-order polynomial or the square root of -1 or whatever it is, that's all I need. Not anymore. Not in the world you're in. Give your talk to an empty room, use a timer, and if you're feeling really brave, record yourself. How many of you have ever recorded yourself? Okay, so you realize how depressing it is and how dorky you sound. How many of you have, just to make it worse, how many of you have been videoed? Years of therapy, right? So, but it's really good practice for stuff like this. So, practice. I want to get some more people up here. I'm going to spend a couple minutes on venture capital, But then we're going to get a couple more presenters up here, right? So just a few words. It's not for the faint of heart. Careful what you ask for. Abandon hope. So lots of people think, well, how do I get to see a venture capitalist? I know. I'll just call them up. Well, they get about 200 of those calls a week. Don't do it. That message is going in the trash. Then they think about it a little bit and they think, well, maybe I know somebody who knows the venture capitalist. I'll call them and I'll ask for an introduction. And that person's going to say, is it a good fit? Because they're in software as a service and you have a biotech company. So it's probably a waste of time. So they'll find some polite way to say no. If it is a good fit, their next question is, are you going to make me look bad? Because the venture capitalist kind of trusts me, and if I send him somebody who's just a complete weenie, then he's not going to take any more referrals from me. So if I think you're going to make me look bad, that's going in the trash. If you can persuade the friend that in fact you've got something that will genuinely be of interest to the venture capitalist, this is kind of back to the who are they and what do they want, then you'll get the introduction. And that happens much less frequently. So don't be naive and think, well, because my idea is so fabulous and I'm so smart, I'll go right in. Won't work. So what do they care about? Do they care about your technology, your academic credentials, maybe making money? So they're going to ask you questions like, what's the unmet need? Who has it? Why will they think your solution is better? Why this? Why now? Why this team? What could go wrong? All of those are proxies for just two questions. First question is, how will you make money? The second question is, how will I make money? If you don't have a good answer to the first question, I'm not even going to ask you the second question. Right? So address your talk toward what's the unmet need, what's causing the pain, who are our customers, how's our better solution, a little bit about the team, how are we getting to the market, here we have how are we taking care of manufacturing, do we have patent protection, etc. And then everything else is associated with deal terms. And what's the probability that you'll have a successful exit and I get my investment or some multiple of my investment out of this deal? We've covered that. A few words about pitch decks. Most of the time they reflect the kind of pitches that we frequently hear. They're overloaded with technical jargon. They're too long. Describe the problem and the opportunity in the first slide or two. Focus on how you're going to meet the unmet need. And there's an excellent little resource, again, in your materials. This is worth looking at. Okay, remember, you are solving a problem. So give an anecdote. Agatha collected dolls. We've identified more customers like Agatha who will happily pay to solve this problem. Here's why they think our solution is better than anything else out there. And then be honest. We have a prototype, or we're raising capital in order to create a prototype, or we actually have our first 3 customers and a waiting list of people who want more. We're raising capital to scale the business. Be candid. Here's what we're doing. And ask for their questions. Okay, we got a few minutes left. I would love to have a few more sample pitches. So volunteers, same drill. Right? We will listen attentively. We will critique respectfully. So, who's feeling brave? Come on down. Taylor, I've got one for him. You can use yours for the audience. Who are you?
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Nestor Esquivel. I'm from Mexico,
Perfect.
Now we're
Yeah.
talking.
Perfect. The type of pitch I would like to give is for VC investors. So,
I'm sorry, I'm going to stop you just for a second. What he just did is so tempting. He held the mic like this. Okay? This guy is wired to your lips.
okay, let's start again.
Start over.
Amazing. So, okay, I will present Angie. Angie is an AI agentic healthcare venture for emerging markets. Possibly you don't know this problem, but let me relate about it. Like in Mexico and in Latin America and other countries, there is a problem about the digital healthcare records, about how the information between patient and doctors are
I have
managed.
to stop you. I've made a mistake. I apologize. I should have asked you, are you pitching to raise capital or are you presenting to prospective customers? Who are we?
Prospective investors.
Prospective investors. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are steely-eyed, flinty prospective investors trying to evaluate what's the probability that this gentleman and his venture will fail. Okay? Thank you. I apologize for the interruption.
Okay. So the problem is that continue with the problem in Latin America, the market penetration of technology is 25%. So every digital record, every conversation that happens, it's through WhatsApp. Imagine that your biomarkers and everything is through WhatsApp. That is the reality of any market in Latin America. So we talked with more than 50 physicians already about this problem and how to solve it. And we are creating a layer that automates all their workflows, starting and working with the same way that the doctors currently operate. Just on top of that, we will be integrating our technology to make it easier to collect all the information that they require and allow the users to start having the foundation for digital healthcare records. This is so important for investors' perspective, since in emerging market, the data is less regulated, so we can have a lot of access to extremely rich data. For in the future of medicine, we will start having more personalized medicine and healthcare. So we will create all this data foundation through WhatsApp and through conversational longitudinal healthcare records in order to build our company. So we are starting with independent physicians in Latin America, which is an extremely fragmented market. I came from a family of physicians. My father, my sister, we have the network to start working there. I'm working with a PhD and with another MBA fellow. We are ready to create the first 3 unicorn in Latin America.
Ooh. All right. Stay put. Your comments, please.
Thank you. It was about the congratulations for your presentation. It was about the description of the problem. You say that all the data were passing through WhatsApp. If someone is not technical, and then what are like the consequences of having all the data by WhatsApp? Maybe you could have explained more about it.
Yeah. One of the consequences is that you don't have in any place or your data concentrated and collected. So it's very difficult to manage all the biomarkers, all the information for you and for your parents or for anyone. And it can lead to leakage. It can lead to different things that are harmful for managed biometric data.
What problem is his venture proposing to solve? Who's going to pay him to solve that problem? Okay, we do have a hand down here.
I think thank you first about your presentation. I think the problem you're trying to solve is about data privacy, especially in like healthcare industry, but also having the data consolidated in one place where there is easy access to it. I think your customer in this position would be hospitals. But with that, I personally have a question for you regarding like what would be the equivalent of like HIPAA regulations in Mexico. I think from the perspective of the investor, I would be like, do you have permission to actually have that much access to patients' information?
Yeah, I can respond that. Like, actually, we are building our technology based on HIPAA regulation because it's like the standard worldwide. And Mexico, it's like, our beachhead market, it's like 5 times less exigent or less requirement than IPA. So we are.
Let me interrupt you. I apologize, but we are critiquing his pitch rather than diving into the venture itself. So I think there are a couple of takeaways, which is, again, out of a room full of pretty smart people, there are only 1 or 2 who actually kind of understood what the problem you are approaching to solve is. So if you can, lead with, here's a problem we've identified. Here are the consequences of that problem. Here's where the current solutions fall short. Here's where we've stepped up. And here are the people we've talked to who are poised to buy it from us. Suddenly you can pack that into 30 seconds if you have to. Okay?
Yep.
Let's give the man a hand. Good. All right, we have time for 1 or 2 more. Oh, wait. I want to reward this fellow in the back who's remembered all the things I coached him on out in the aisle. So, and then you're next. Practice.
So I wanted to grill this hard.
Did you bring your guitar?
Next, was it Thursday?
Thursday, yes. Okay. I'm teasing. Don't bring your guitar. One's enough. We got to talking after our talk last week. This man plays a bit of bossa nova, and I am bringing an electric guitar and a ratty-looking little amplifier in here Thursday evening, and I'm going to play some live blues for you and illustrate the parallels between improvisation in a blues band and innovation in the marketplace. So it's going to be a little weird, but 1 guitar will be enough.
You prefer me to introduce myself first?
It's Ivan, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but that's not enough. Tell us who we are. Are you pitching us as prospective customers? Are you pitching us as prospective employees for your no doubt robust venture? Or I mean, who are we? And then tell us a touch about your business.
I am pitching to the parents in hope to solicit some feedback.
Okay. So we're just a panel of friendly people who are going to help you with your pitch.
Naturally.
Okay. Good enough?
Okay, so how many of you in this audience are...
Until it gets to 7:24, okay?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm going to be short. Can you please raise your hands if you're a parent or a grandparent of someone within the 3 to maybe 10 years old? Okay, we have some. How many of you are worried that the most formative and capable years of the person you love the most are being spent glued to the screen watching mindless entertainment? Okay, so reality is that the best minds of our generation, including some of those from this university, are employed in the companies, are incentivized to create algorithms that are like a digital equivalent of crack cocaine addict us. And children who don't even have this emotional and impulse regulation developed are the most vulnerable to it. So how we decided to address this problem is by not compete for their attention, but to leverage something that they have already a natural inclination to, their favorite toy. So we make educational AI toys in effort to captivate the child in the conversation and tell them interesting facts, and make them fall in love with the world. Maybe some of you are concerned that we are trying to replace parenting, and I can assure you that we try to ally with parents and provide them with as many insights, anonymized insights, COPA compliant insights about their child.
Okay,
We have
you're
a-
at 7:24. I
Yeah.
have to stop you.
So this is in essence what we do, and we would love to hear from you how we can solve your problems better.
Okay. Who's got a comment on his presentation? Right behind you, Taylor.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Yeah, so I think the anecdote you gave is very compelling. I think one thing that maybe threw me off a little bit is then you proceed to mention the word AI immediately after mentioning like highly addictive digital technology companies, right? And so maybe just like a workaround for that word, I think would be maybe less jarring, than saying AI. Yeah.
I'd like to underscore that, and that a lot of people have become quite distrustful of AI. And so I think if you know you've hit it when people say, well, tell me more. You say, we've got this thing that'll keep your kids occupied, they'll behave themselves, and they'll all turn into Nobel Prize winners. Would you like to know more? Right? That's good enough. All right, I think we have time for just one more, but Ivan, I thought that was actually quite good. Congratulations. Yeah. All right, Mademoiselle, you're going to get the fast and furious treatment because we are approaching 7:30, and though it breaks my heart to say it, there will be another speaker on after me. So, who are we? Are we investors? Are we customers?
You are responsible of the social responsibility of companies.
Okay. Did you guys get that? No, I didn't either. Say it again.
Social responsibility of a company, you are manager of the Department of Social Responsibility of Companies.
Okay, we're managers of the Department for Social Responsibility.
Yes.
Okay, you've got till it says
How many?
7:28.
Okay.
Photo finish. Joe, I apologize.
Could you raise your hand if you remember your favorite books when you were 10? So, many kids in Congo won't be able to answer to that question because they can't read. And the sad part of this situation is that they are in school. So we have 97% of kids of 10 years old who are in school but are unable to read. And your company, for many years, have been funding many projects without, unfortunately, having impact on the society. So our company is now training teachers and giving them coaching to be able to teach kids how to read. So if you partner with us, you could have an impact on our country and be the company who is making a big change in this country. Thank you.
Yes. Finished early. I'm in love. That's great. Quick comments? I agree. The problem of kids being unable to read is crucial. You could talk a little bit about the divergence that occurs in that people who know how to read end up living lives of prosperity and kids who don't end up in jail or whatever it is. But quick, 10 seconds to illustrate that. And then here's what we're doing about it, and here's how you can help. There's a sort of a fundamental human desire, which is to mean something, to make a difference. And I think in your case, that would supersede the usual capital values. So you're not saying make an investment because you'll get 10 times your money back. You're saying make an investment because it's a really good thing to do. Right? Okay. Any final questions from you guys? Can you pitch? Nope, it's too late. I'm sorry. You can pitch to me while we're on a break if you want. All right. Shanice, right? Yeah, okay. God. Yeah, well, my brain hurts. Okay, fast and furious. Know your audience. Know the 3 things you want them to remember when you finish your presentation. If you really want to be an animal about this, a rock star, do it in 3 sentences in 10 seconds. I give talks and run workshops that help entrepreneurs have greater success with their businesses. Audiences love my talks and say so. Event planners say I'm an absolute gem to work with. If you're looking for a keynote speaker that breaks the mold, I'm the one you want. 3 sentences, 10 seconds. Thank you. It's not easy. All right. Show them you understand their problem. Tell a story about your better solution. Practice. Thank you very much.